This whole thing is becoming so familiar. Anyway, Tom Bartley here in San Jose. Shout out to Dylan at Noble Records, inspiring me to do this stuff. And also my former co-worker Mayuko, who hopefully will do something similar. So this is kind of a, I don't know what we call it, a tag video? I don't know what the term is. Anyway, this is, I should have counted 10. Some number of records, some pile of records here that I have duplicates of. These are records that were so important to my parents and me that when I picked up my parents' collections, and my parents are two separate entities, and my own record collection, I had multiple copies. And one of these is a huge shout out to my grandparents as well. So, in no particular order, well, maybe in some order. Joe Cocker, Mad Dog's an Englishman. For a start, the Mad Dog, the Englishman, and Joe Cocker. Just an amazing, fun sample to scratch. Joe Cocker. You could just, anyway. But just, Honky Tonk Women, I mean, obviously a good number of covers on here. But yeah, I have 4 copies of this through the various, folks that I've gotten. As a child, one of my fondest memories is listening to the Magical Mystery Tour at my grandparents'. When my grandparents passed away, my grandfather left a note in the copy of Magical Mystery Tour for me. However, so it gets a little sad, this record wasn't actually, like, one of my uncles took the record. And I got the note out before the uncle took the record. But I didn't actually get the record initially. And I went through a frenzy of buying every possible strange version of the Magical Mystery Tour I could get my hands on. And I ended up with vast quantities of the Magical Mystery Tour. This, I believe, sends note. I don't know what happened to the note, actually. Maybe it's this one. One of these records. This is the Australian one. This has to be it. Although the note is not in it. My mother was able to get this copy back from my uncle. So I didn't end up getting it back. But it created a wave of buying every possible. This is a picture album, the Magical Mystery Tour. Every possible. I like them. Look, the Magical Mystery Tour proves John Lennon is a member of Monty Python. Because basically, if you look at the meaning of life and you look at the Magical Mystery Tour, good portions of the meaning of life, like the brilliant stuff from the meaning of life, actually comes from John Lennon and the Magical Mystery Tour. But yeah, so the film is also a favourite of mine. Not my favourite Beatles album per se, but just a really special album for me. And when I couldn't get it, I just went out and bought basically every rare and strange copy of it, just as an homage to my grandparents. This is also probably going to go in my survival records collection. This is just such a favourite Rolling Stones, one of mine. Love in Vain, just really, I mean, I already like Robert Johnson. Monkey Man, Gimme Shelter, I mean, everything. Honky Tonk Woman, all of these are great, great, great albums in their own right. And the blues just dripping to try to channel some Dylan of Noble Records. But yeah, this is one of my favourite Rolling Stones. I mean, let's say my favourite Rolling Stones. And one that I have owned multiple copies of. In fact, it started off when I borrowed a friend's copy. And then I've just picked up multiple ones since. This is my favourite, one of my favourite DJ records. I've got a series of DJ records I didn't include in the DJ records video. This I have multiple copies of. This one I actually paid $30 for in San Jose. My original one that I used to DJ with is in the pile somewhere as well. But yeah, it's got You're Gonna Get Yours, the Maiuzi, it's got the vocal mix of Maiuzi Weighs a Ton. It's got the dub Terminator X getaway version of You're Gonna Get Yours. It's the most quintessential scratching you're ever going to hear on a record. It's just amazing. There is a theme here. This I have 4 copies of from both my parents and from 2 from my own collection. And yeah, I think anyone who was seriously alive or conscious or was consciously alive afterwards and wanted to be consciously alive during, this just is untouchable. So King Crimson, the original King Crimson, this is my family's version. I've got a few other versions. Just, I don't know, this whole thing is just so central. And again, no one ever talks about this as an album. You hear it occasionally, Children of Men. This, for the longest time, wasn't on iTunes. Longest time. The only one that was on iTunes was through the Children of Men soundtrack, which was The Court of the Crimson King. Which is amazing, but the whole album is amazing and belongs on iTunes. I mean, 21st Century Schizoid Man, you had to hear Kanye West sample it rather than have it on iTunes. Anyway. So many different versions of this album. There's a theme with those last few. Sgt. Pepper's. I think I have a picture disc version. I've got a few different versions. Again, this might actually be my grandparents' copy, maybe. No, I think this is one of mine. I think this is one. I picked this up when I was at university for $15. This was a lot of money for a record back then. I got a bunch of $2 records. But last and not least, I even have my wife's family's version of this record. Probably my favorite Beatles album on any given day of the week. The White Cover album. Look, I've already talked about Dear Prudence. I love Revolution 9. Love it. I mean, I just think that's such a, music concrete. We can't get past it. But yeah, just, they were in their own when they made this. This was like, just, yeah. Anyway, I've got many copies of this. My in-laws copy, I refuse to put in any of my record things because it's got like some strange mold thing going on. So I always keep it out. But yeah, I've got enough copies of these things that, meld version, which, will not be in any of my record stacks. But yeah, certainly many copies of this. I think there are a few other records that are like, Dire Straits, which is in here, and I thought I was going to put in this pile. Brothers in Arms, I've got like 4 copies of that. I think it's notable to mention The Police. I think they're the only ones really, aside from the ones that I've shown, that I have a good stack of multiple copies of. But yeah, it just seems to be there's a definition. The Doors, perhaps. The Doors, I've got maybe 2 or 3 copies, the Doors album. But yeah, just in general, these are the ones that probably define my parents' generation, some of my grandparents' stuff, and certainly, some of my early listening as well. So Tom Bubbly in San Jose, signing out.